Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Political Deep Dive. I'm Dave Valente, and I wanted to wish everyone a happy Pride. Of course, it's June, Pride Month. We'll be talking with our guest here in a moment about Pride, what it means, what it started, and all that good stuff. It's also Juneteenth today, so 1865 Union General was able to make it to the town of Galveston, Texas, and inform the slaves that they had been freed, um, and is marked as the independence from chattel slavery on in the United States, and so very important holiday now. It's a federal holiday, so tomorrow federal employees will be off, and but today is the actual holiday, and I hope people who got out there and had a chance to celebrate this weekend. I know a lot of events happened yesterday, but today is actually the celebration. Also, it's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. Whether I don't care how you accept yourself as a father, whether you are a if you're a father in a nuclear family, the every day having kids and all that stuff. Whether you're a pet parent, whether you are a mom who's working hard, raising kids by herself and serving both the mom and the father role. Happy Father's Day. Take time to celebrate. I want people to celebrate as much as you possibly can. So it's great to have kind of these three things converging on the, Pride going the whole month, but all these things converging at the same time. It's a great thing. So this week I'm bringing on some folks from Outright. Uh, First and foremost, Ari Gabrek, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Excellent. Now, Ari, you're the chair of Outright, correct?
I'm
Correct?
I'm the interim chair.
Okay, excellent. Uh, Joining from the same place, the Saskmaster General, Tyler Smith. How you doing, Tyler?
Doing well, doing well. How are you guys?
Doing well. So you're the communications director, right, or outreach director?
Outreach director, yes.
Outreach director. And joining us, the man, the myth, the legend, Vacation Dan Fishman. How you doing, Dan?
Good. What's up, folks? Hey,
All right.
Ari, I have a question.
Yes.
They, him. I've always heard one or the other. I've never seen somebody list both.
Oh, we
Did I
lost.
not? Y'all
No,
can't hear
I
me?
can hear you. Ari, I think we lost audio.
You can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
now we can hear you. Yes.
What did you say, Dan?
My question was, I see you have listed they, him, and I've never seen somebody list both of those pronouns together. Can you explain to me what that means, which one you prefer?
So, I actually use both of them.
Gotcha.
Sometimes I use them interchangeably, and sometimes, depending on the day, I'll just use one instead of the other. I call myself tangentially male.
So if I see that, I could use either one as well, and I wouldn't be offending you.
Nope, not at all.
Awesome.
I'm usually very.
Oh,
Remix.
This shuka 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 shuka.
I think I influenced that with my intro music here. Hey, Craig, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. So, Tyler, you can kind of talk a little bit about this until we get Artie back.
Happy Pride, Tyler.
Yeah, happy Pride.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah, we've been celebrating right down here in Arizona.
yeah, if you're following Tyler on Facebook, he's got a fantastic picture of a bunch of pride flags on his porch and looks good. Um, let's actually, I had your picture up. Well, so which flags do you have on your?
So we have Lesbian Pride, the Progress Pride, the Gadeston, Anarchist Pride, and a couple others. By the way, here's Ari.
From the same.
Yeah, my
location.
phone hates me. They can't hear me.
I can hear you.
We can hear you. It's both of you being on the same thing. So actually, Tyler, it's your terrible internet that's the problem.
Don't blame me. I just live here.
Dude, I want you to go out there and spin those wheels faster to make your internet work better.
Right? We might have some feed.
The headphones
Hopefully, it's not too horrible.
No,
No,
it's good.
no, it
Use the
isn't.
headphones, go to the speaker. Good stuff.
Yep.
And turn
Hey.
turn the phone horizontal.
I can set it down there. That's set up if you want to be able to go in. There we go.
Horizontal.
So
Horizontal.
Yeah,
Get a
turn
look
it
at my
horizontal.
pasty white legs here.
I'm at
Turn it
both of our
horizontal.
pasty white legs.
See if they can read my sign language.
Yeah, flip it horizontal if you can.
There we go. Yep, that's better.
That does not work at all. Oh no. So Dan, how you
Alone
doing?
again.
Where are you at?
I'm
man?
good. I am in Chickateague, which is an island in southeastern Virginia. It's just across the border. It's the same. What's it? Barrier Island.
Okay.
And it's awesome. It has a lot of people are familiar with Assateague, which is just north of here and has wild horses running around. Pretty cool. But the best thing about it is this huge stretch of beach that's only available for all-wheel drive vehicles. And I mean, it's serious. You would get stuck in anything else. But for me, driving my truck out there, I feel exceptionally manly. And also they limit the number of people who are allowed to go out there. So you have 50 yards of beach all to yourself.
Nice.
And they let 24 people out there. And so it's pretty spectacular.
Let me make sure they're trying to see if they're trying to message me on.
We also, so we went out and we did that today, and I would recommend that to anybody. And another thing I would recommend to people, if you haven't been to the national parks, it's $45 for a yearly pass to every national park in the United States. And, we can complain about government and all that stuff, but the national parks are pretty amazing. So go out there, get that year-long pass and go visit them, because a day pass is 10 days and a weekly pass is 25 days. So get that yearly pass and go visit some parks you've never been to. Among my favorites, Big Bend is amazing. Acadia, Yellowstone, Zion State Park or National Park? It's National Park. Pikes Peak National Park. What are some good national parks in West Virginia?
We just got a national park in.
Nice job, guys.
Yeah, there we go. New River Gorge.
Yeah.
National park this year, so last year. So
There's
that's
that giant bridge there too, right?
Oh yeah, where people fling themselves off once a year.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
No,
But
I will never do that either.
That's cool. You know what? One of my favorite national parks is in Arizona. It is. Now I'm going to get it wrong. It's named after the cactus, the giant pipe cactus.
Saguaro.
Yeah.
Saguaro National Park.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, that's an awesome national park.
Well, I have to give at least somewhat of a props to Teddy Roosevelt for the national parks here in the United States and the national monuments. They're not perfect, but it's at least not in the hands of the aristocracy like over in Europe. Well, a different kind of aristocracy.
Yes,
It is. It's yeah. I mean, of the things I will abolish when I bring libertarian anarchism to rule, like food stamps is the next to last thing that I'll get rid of, and national parks is the last.
Yeah, I won't ban. I'm not going to ban big.
It's
bird.
okay. Dan is like, we'll let you starve, but look at how pretty that tree is.
Well, I mean, of government programs that I would get rid of, right? I mean, I don't like food stamps, but I also want to acknowledge the fact that food stamps hasn't done anything to stop people from starving to death in this country.
No, you're right.
No,
You're
they
right.
haven't.
Obviously, I'm being facetious, Dan. You know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I meant statistics wise, the cost it actually is to be able to give food stamps rather than just let people spend their own money that they have that is
Right.
taxed.
Yep.
Like I figured, and I actually ended up looking at the last 42 years and figured out how much money an individual who's an average median income earner within the United States, and it's somewhere between about $25,000 to $50,000 a year. That's the average median income. So it's between that. and what those individuals end up paying over the last 42 years, and it was $205,000.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What could you do with $205,000?
Oh, I mean, that was my argument on the whole COVID spending. Like, we you know, the amount of money that we dumped into the markets, the market liquidity, the stimulus, the most of it which went to large corporations. If you had split that up amongst every man, woman, and child in the United States, and remember, the stimulus didn't go to every man, woman, and child in the United States. It only went to taxpayers and only certain taxpayers. But if it went to every man, woman, and child, all that money that we spent was like $32,000 per person. So if you're a family of four, talking $132,000. If I did my math right, I'm not good at math, so
It's
could have survived very well on $132,000, and it was like the stuff for us was a tax credit. It wasn't even like a full tax money you got and it was just yours. The stuff that we gave to the corporations, they could get forgiven, but we got stuck with next year your tax bill went through the roof. So,
well, it's I had 3 friends who were business owners in New Orleans, and each one of them, no, don't mind me. Each one of them ended up applying for the Paycheck Protection Program, and out of all of them, only one of them got it, and they had less employees than the other 2 businesses. And it didn't even make up for what they ended up losing that first year.
Yeah.
Like it did a decent amount, but what the federal government ended up saying that they could end up borrowing just barely covered anything.
Yeah. The Paycheck Protection Act will, I will love to see, down the line, the study of, the people getting their masters in public administration will be studying what happened with this program and what comes from all these studies of how badly managed all this stuff was and how wrong they got a lot of this stuff, especially on the business side. But let's talk about what we got you on here for. So June is Pride Month.
Yeah.
So tell us, talk to us about what Pride means to you, what Pride is, maybe a little bit of history about where it came from. I know a lot of us who are watching will know, but just in case somebody doesn't know, let's hear a little bit about it.
Tyler?
Oh, you just want me to piss people off right off the bat?
Of course I do.
Well, to your point, I guess Pride for me is the unapologetic living in my existence, being able to hold my boyfriend's hand walking down the street and not feel a sense of subconscious shame for it. And in a weird way, I feel like we have earned that, but we obviously have the right to exist since we're here in a peaceful manner. And I think to most of us, correct me if I'm wrong, but to most of us in this movement, I'm a little bit mouthier than most. But I think we owe it to our predecessors that started out in 1969 at the Stonewall Inn Tavern, who basically raised hell, threw bricks, flipped cars, set fires, all to fly in the face of severe government overreach and oppression in its rawest form, unwarranted searches and everything, unwarranted detainees, everything that happened that built that powder keg up. And finally, when the spark lit, we owe it to them to continue fighting for that every day. Now, granted, we do have a month that has been bestowed upon us by our benevolent overlords, but We do owe it to them to live unapologetically in our own skin. We're not here to hurt people. We're not here to corrupt your children. Trust me, if you've seen anything that's going on in theaters and what's going on at your schools, we are the last thing you need to worry about. But we are here to show that those same people, adults, children alike, who are living with issues of their identity and who they are, that it's okay. You are valid, you are welcome, and there are people who love you. God, I think that's the mushiest I've gotten on this show before. But no, we do love you, and you are valid. And if nothing else, there are people who are like me, like Ari here, who are willing to be your rabid defense until you're ready to stand with us and fight. Because we understand it is going to be a fight. For some reason, there's been this sociological shift against us, especially in recent years. But to me, that is what pride is about, is showing that you're not going to shame us back into that closet.
Yeah.
Let me play a little devil's advocate here. And I mean, actually where, of course, I stand. But, there's a lot of Americans who are like, well, hey, you got the right to get married. Isn't that over now? Isn't depression over?
Well, do you want to take this?
Yes, I do want to take this. I can't get a photo ID.
Wow.
I can't legally open a bank account. I can't have access to a driver's license. I can't have access to government goods and services, and I'm paying taxes. Yay, marriage.
Right.
And I'm not the only one this is happening to. Just because I have a different gender marker on my birth certificate, the government has stated, my government in the state of Louisiana has stated that I cannot have access to goods and services even though I am paying taxes.
It's just criminal.
That
Absolutely criminal.
Right. And the thing about it is, of course, is that it is one of those things that whenever government tries to fix something, they actually make it worse.
yes.
And, by establishing this idea of, oh, yeah, we're going to list people's gender on a card, which never had to be there, right? There's no reason to put gender on an ID card to begin with.
That was one of the things that the onset of Outright USA ended up talking about was identification. That the government doesn't need to know what your gender is. There are other ways of being able to ascertain that. And medical science is gonna know how to treat you. All of these different institutions have access to that data. And having it on the ID only works to be able to stop people from having access to stuff. I mean, I'm a case in point. I'm here in Arizona because my own state won't allow me to be able to get a driver's license. Just because of my gender. And yeah, everything that it institutes, it just screws up. And you want to know who we have to thank for this?
Who is it?
Ronald Reagan.
The Gipper.
Yeah.
It's, it is one of those crazy things that I sometimes, right? There's no point in being a libertarian unless you're going to really buy into some crazy conspiracy theories. I believe that 50% of the stuff the government makes us do is so that they can figure out how to do marketing and consumerism. And I really believe sometimes that that's the only reason why they want to know about our gender, so they can say, oh, here you go, Amazon. Here's a list of all the people who put in M in their box. And now you can try to sell them whatever M's buy, underarm deodorant or
pink razors.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can actually slightly testify to this fact because as some of you already know here, I work with data analytics. I've helped to now elect 3 libertarians, and I professionally use data to be able to go and look at trends and look at propensities or the likelihoods of things happening. Yeah, it's all marketing. It's all marketing.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the people will say, Stonewall. Yeah, one of the things that a lot of people say is Stonewall is a riot. They don't understand why it became a riot. A lot of people who, yeah, even older than I am. I was born after Stonewall. Don't understand that up to that point, or even beyond that point, it was illegal to be anything but a straight person.
Yeah.
Even forms of sex that straight people do was considered illegal. And it was not uncommon for police to bust up and harass people coming out of known establishments like Stonewall, and that's what led to the riot. That people got fed up. Like how that's what when I talk about libertarianism and talk about the freedom movement of what is your pushing point? What is your the point where you're going to push back when the government says you can't do this? You got to identify that.
To that effect, I'm glad you brought it up, because the whole illegality of it, because, and this kind of ties in with Dan's devil's advocacy earlier. We don't just fight for the American GSM community, we fight for the GSM community at large. We say outright USA, but it is actually outright global in terms of how we think is, and God, I can already hear the conspiracy theorists that'll be watching this now. They're globalists. No. Take it apart for a second. Sit down in your conspiracy corner. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the focus of these actual individuals that suffer at the hands of government overreach, such as it being illegal to be gay. Because I actually had made a talk about 3 or 4 days ago about something called Paragraph 175 in Germany. These people were liberated from the same concentration camps as the Romani, the Jews, everything like that. But they were given a choice: stay silent about your oppression here, or be re-imprisoned for being, because that was one of the codes, the codified laws that they did not repeal when Nazi Germany fell in either Eastern or Western Germany. And a lot of these people went straight back into a prison. The last one being released in 1996. So yes, in some realms, yes, we do have that. Like, that would be my response. This is always my response to people. It's like, yeah, we have the right to marry, but to what end? Because we still have people rotting in prison cells around the world, people that are being executed for being gay, everything like that. People who can't walk down the street holding their boyfriend's hand as a same-sex partner without somebody screaming faggot and threatening to beat them up. Granted, they do that to me, I've got a Glock on my hip. So it's one of those things, though. It's like we are like it's yes, there are strides that have been made, and there are some political placebos that have been offered, but at the end of the day, it is still something that we aren't necessarily. We understand that there's other problems in the world, but this is particularly our battle to fight, because this is now our personal lives that are under attack. So,
well, speak about that attack, because now we're seeing, how many bills are we seeing in legislatures throughout the United States?
257.
And these range from transgender sports participation. In fact, I was telling you guys about the FINA, which is the governing body over swimming, international swimming, ruling today that a trans woman cannot participate in any international competition unless they've completed, now I'm saying completed, transition by the age of 12, where most countries don't even allow transition to begin by the age of 12.
So WPATH is the standard of care for trans and non-binary individuals, and we should be coming up on the third iteration here fairly soon. And for as imperfect as it is, there are standards of care that come with it. And in particular, with WPATH, the World, I'll remember the totality of it later, but it's the standards of care that are done by international groups, by doctors, by individuals, and by public health persons. And it takes years to be able to go and get it together. Most kids, most teenagers don't start gonadotropins or puberty blockers until they're 12. And that's usually at the earliest. And most of them, at least at the studies that I've ended up looking at, most of them start between 13 and 14, because it all depends on the phases of puberty that they end up hitting.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to use puberty or hormone blockers before they really start producing hormones.
Yeah.
Like, that decision essentially just says we're banning trans athletes from participating in swimming events. And
it was more so trans women.
Yeah, only trans women. It doesn't say, there's not a word about trans men competing in swimming events or any events.
No.
Like, none of these laws really talk about trans men participating.
Or non-binary people.
Yep.
It's they don't even think about that. They think about, assigned male at birth individuals rather than, assigned female at birth individuals. And that's an issue, because assigned female at birth individuals, whether they're non-binary or transgender, are starting to be able to make strides in sports. And this is all just going to be piecemealed together to be able to go and make policies on our bodies.
Yeah. Other legislation where, Tyler, you telling me about trigger legislation, the stuff that's already passed that I was just waiting for the Supreme Court or the federal government to make a ruling to trigger the enactment of those laws. Talk about those a little bit.
Yeah. So off the top of my head, Mississippi is one of them. Mississippi has enacted a trigger law basically under cover of all the other crap that happens there in Mississippi. Because they've also got a lot of anti-trans legislation and everything like that. This was buried in one of them regarding, as we all know it by its moniker, gay marriage. Is there ever comes such a time that SCOTUS rules against it, or the federal government decides that it's getting out of it, it automatically triggers this law to enact where it is even banned at the state level, and barring any type of municipalities or anything like that from being able to perform them. It seems minuscule right now, but this is like to me, it's not minuscule in the fact that this just goes to show that there is a level of malicious traditionalism coming up in this country that needs to be countered, and countered quick, because it is absolutely targeting the GSM community, whether it be based on some weird theocratic mindset or if it's based on some sort of weird malicious traditionalism. It's all coming back to, they are attacking otherwise peaceful peoples just because we don't fit into this little box. And it sucks to see it, because this is supposed to be a nation where that is separated. And again, I'm talking kind of out of my element being an anarchist here, but I know the government well enough, which is why I became an anarchist. Like, we used to work for them. I mean, let's be real. Like, I've seen the shit that they'll do overseas, much less let alone what they do here domestically. And at this point, it's watching all kinds of stuff that is influencing each other that should not be, if we were actually operating the way we were supposed to be as the land of the free. And these trigger laws are doing just that. This is basically a severe targeting of a specific demographic of people that is, in my opinion, and again, as Dan put it, some of us are prone to crazy. It is a cultural erasure of the GSM community. And we're watching the foot in the door right now. Now it's the time for people that are libertarians, small L, and those that stand with libertarianism by proper definition, are we slamming the door on that foot and breaking it? Or are we going to be like, oh, please stop, no. Like, we're at that point where it's time to stand up and be like, this is ridiculous, because now we can sit here and do this all day long, and people are just like, of course they're going to defend themselves, everything like that. But these are people like your nieces, your nephews, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, potentially your parents. Like, there's several instances of that. Like, you're not just sitting there and waging war on, complete strangers. You're attacking people that are very close to you as well, and you don't even realize how badly that hurts and why we become so combatively defensive.
One of the great statements in the movement right now is trans rights are human rights, and then it's a critical thing to recognize the fact that when I go back to Dr. King's speech when he talks about the kids are sitting in the lunchrooms. He said when they were sitting down, they're really standing up for what is best in the American ideal. That idea that all of us, our rights are all interconnected, and you never know when someday there's going to be discrimination against me for whatever reason. Okay, there's going to be discrimination against Dave for some of those terrible puns that he's been laying down recently on Facebook. Whatever it is.
No, I draw a line.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I agree. Dave should be banned.
I've already been banned, man.
Ban Dave marriage.
I'm going to go one step further. It isn't just a right. It isn't just something that's conferred to us by a constitution or by a law. It is a natural right. Trans rights are natural rights.
Yeah.
Because transness is as natural as anything out there. It's a biological fact that trans individuals exist. And
all you have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing. People like to tell us that trans, we're trans is a recent thing, and that it's not, that it's this fad, or which is complete horseshit.
Yeah, for the
trans
longest time,
always existed.
Yeah, for the longest time, doctors have, at birth, seen children with two sets of sex organs and gone to the parents and asked them. And you know what? That's not the best way to decide what's right for somebody growing up.
No.
And
Intersex.
people who look up the raw statistics of intersex, there's, I'm trying to remember, 24 major variations of the way your chromosomes can come out.
Yes.
I might be off. 24 is right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So I'm proud of myself for knowing that number. Because normally, like, my information is like 6 years out of date. But
so there's always a range. It's 24 to 27.
Right.
Yes.
Well, right. Exactly. I mean, there are some that are extremely rare combinations.
Yes.
But so people recognizing that fact, people's genetic makeup is, it is there. Nothing could be more natural, right? Nothing could be more natural than the way your chromosomes came together when you were born. When comes together and makes a person.
Yeah.
There was one. Sorry.
Go ahead, Art.
I'll let you finish.
Well, all right. Thank you. My one last thing about it is that Freud's great statement: the only unnatural sex act is to not have any. And he's actually wrong about that. There are plenty of people who choose to live asexual lives, and that's their choice too. But the fact of the matter is, the only unnatural sex act is the one where you are ashamed of yourself and your sexuality. Everybody should be willing to share, and everybody else should be willing to embrace people for who they are.
Yeah.
Yes, consensual adult relationships. That's the key of all of this. And that's, I think, what gets lost in this mess of when people are talking about
gender and sex and sexuality and gender expression that they forget that there's this richness, there's this wonderful creativity to the ways that we express ourselves throughout time, throughout society, throughout cultures. We've had this beautiful, beautiful way of expressing our individuality through clothing, through art, through makeup, through all of these different things. And it changes. It constantly changes. It's even changing now how people end up expressing themselves, in this wonderful, wonderful creativity that we have inherently as a human species comes across in so many different ways, through sexuality, through the way that we express our gender. And I want to be able to share that with people. I want to be able to share that innate creativity that I have, that I want to be able to express as my gender and as my sexuality and as myself as an individual with everybody else. And I hope that other people can accept and want to be able to express themselves and have that and access that creativity as well.
Excellent. So tell us about Outright USA. Tell us about your organization. Tell us what your plans are coming up here in the next few months and what you guys got on the long-term agenda.
Well, I am currently running for board chair of Outright USA. The name change came for a variety of different reasons, unfortunately. One of which I experienced at the convention itself, a physical assault, the use of the GSM community as a prop, the character maligning and the slurs that we've heard, and the continuing of the marginalization of the GSM community kind of led to this point. We love freedom, and we want people to be able to express that as they want to, but we all kind of saw what happened, not just there at the convention, but over these last year and a half, as to how the GSM community has been treated inside of the National Libertarian Party. Not all of them, but
we haven't abandoned libertarianism, but it's becoming a lot more clear that the American Libertarian Party seems to be taking a direction that will do nothing to help secure this bridge building that we were trying to do under that namesake. It was already hard enough doing it when it was a little bit of a minefield. Maybe it'll be safe, maybe it won't. Now, GSM individuals that even I've witnessed it on the daily at this point, GSM individuals, they hear the word libertarian and automatically rope us in with those are the guys that want me dead. Then you see things like what this LP Delaware is doing, releasing stuff calling us degenerates and groomers and stuff like that, when their own demagogues have pretty substantial evidentiary support to the contrary about them instead of us. You see things like not being able to, from the new chair elects, not being able to define a pretty well-defined word since the 1860s of what a bigot is, but somehow can just accept the terminology that is a catch-all for anything that I don't like, being woke. And you see anything to the contrary of any type of paleo or cultural conservative ideations as being woke, and that then they want to accuse us of not willing to have a good faith argument or open a dialogue, when automatically you've already written us off as, yes, what you're doing is driving people away, but we're not trying to reach out to the like woke left. Like, there's no conversation to be had there. And that is a culture that is right now being fostered. And even if you read our letter very carefully, we henceforth terminate it until such a time as the National Party can live up to its name. We did not abandon libertarianism, just this current iteration of the Libertarian Party has abandoned us.
So I want to go talk about one thing, which is, and I wrote a thing about this today on People for Liberty. Woke, right? The opposite of woke is asleep. And everybody who's arguing against wokeism is they want you to be ignorant because they believe that you are impotent if you are ignorant. And so we should be fighting against that. Say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with being woke. Now, are there people who are using the idea of wokeism to advocate for socialism and authoritarianism? Absolutely. You know what? There are people who are using patriotism to advocate for white supremacy, right? There are people on both sides who will take a political term and use it. But there's nothing wrong with being woke, because woke only means that you are aware of what's happening out there. Okay? Me being aware of injustice doesn't mean that I support socialism to do it. It means that I'm aware of injustice and I'm going to start thinking about what am I doing inadvertently that maintains an unjust state. Hang on just one sec, guys.
Sure. So tell us about the break and well, tell us a little bit about what happened with your arm in Reno and what kind of led to this whole thing going down.
So it doesn't get easier to talk about, but I was there for a job. I was there working, doing data analytics, and it's what I love. I love numbers. I love stuff like that. And I was between myself and another individual, and a third who was being a little aggressive, with a camera in both of our faces, pressing it primarily in the other individual's direction. And so what I did was just I put a notebook between myself and the person next to me and the guy with the camera that we had very nicely asked to not record us. And he grabbed my wrist and arm and threw my notebook out of my hand and pushed my arm away from my body. I've been using the splint on and off. Tyler can testify to the fact that it's been slow. It's been slow to heal. I'm still numb in two of my fingers, and my arm from my wrist to my elbow is still, I would say, 75 to 80% of the time numb as well. I lost the ability to use my drafting hand. So, yeah, that was the gist of it. A person decided to be able to put their hands onto me and aggress against me, and then subsequently call me a freak.
So, I mean, did you get anything from current LNC, the committee leadership?
No, there's
They
been
said
nothing. No, there's been nothing.
Yeah.
I had a small talk with Josh Smith about it, but after the fact, once I left, there's been nothing. I talked with Karen Ann Harlos the day of and the day after, and they basically brushed it aside and had said nothing. And the only individuals who have actually been really helpful have been Michelle McCutchinson and Ben Boren, and yeah, that's been it. There's been no statements, even after I made it public knowledge that I was assaulted, even after I ended up sending them emails, and even after having sent LP National information on what had happened. It's been radio silence.
So the question from the audience, Janice McKenzie says, was the cameraman arrested?
No, he wasn't. He was removed from the building, and then he fled. When he was confronted a second time by somebody who was a friend of mine there at the convention, he ended up running away a second time.
That doesn't sound surprising. Somebody who attacks out of, in an organization that tells you to sign a pledge saying that you don't want to use aggression for political and social purposes, who will do that in the middle of a convention, the national convention for that group is beyond me. But I hope that you can seek justice, whether it's criminally or civilly. That was just awful. I just remember hearing that somebody had been assaulted at the convention. I was like, wasn't surprised that that went down, but was sad, especially when I heard it was you. It broke my heart because I know you're a good person and don't deserve the bullshit. But so talk about the breakaway from, going from outright libertarians to outright USA.
We had a pretty long talk about this, and it was over several days. Tyler and myself ended up talking, and then we brought it to the board. And I scoured the bylaws to be able to make sure this was something that we could do. Made sure that was within our right of being able to do this kind of change. I made sure that it was backed by what had been previously written and codified by all of our members. And the change was made because it's not just me. There are other GSM individuals who were affected.
There's a Senate candidate that we all know and love out of Georgia that was also verbally harassed. People online every day come at the organization. We tried to hold a membership meeting and got infiltrated during our first attempt at it, and slurs were being thrown and everything like that, to where we just finally had to wholesale cancel the meeting and pull the connection. And now we had to regroup until we had it on. Our next one will be on June 30th, where vetting is now unnecessarily, in my opinion, going to have to be like getting into Fort Knox. But Ari's right. Me and him were sitting there talking for several days. Like, not only were they going through the bylaws, I was as well. And anybody that knows me knows that I've given a significant amount of time to this party. I loved it. I did. I had my qualms with some of the minarchist stuff, and we joke about and laugh about that. But this was something it was a definite observation of the change in the tide. And I'm not going to guide a ship full of people that are looking for liberation, looking for liberty, into nothing but constant abuse, be it via social media or in person. I'm not, and I basically laid it out like that. Ari agreed. The rest of the board surprisingly and unanimously agreed. In context with other things that also came around with it, such as the deletion of certain parts of planks and everything. Because the argument, let's take the big elephant in the room right now. Not the Mises Caucus. But the elephant in the room here was the removal of the bigotry is irrational, repugnant part of it. And people are like, well, the rest of the plank already says that. I was like, yes, but there's also something called chiseling. And that's exactly what's happening. We're already seeing people making arguments about the rest of that plank all over social media.
Also, I mean, it's critical. Why would you remove it? The only reason to remove it is to make people think the party is more welcoming of bigots, which we saw said in the Reason interview a little later on.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's a bedrock. It's a bedrock plank of the Libertarian Party. And the research that I did into it was primarily from constitutional law. And the focus of it was the whole issue of not just bigotry, but when it becomes actionable, of when it becomes targeted. Bigotry has this way of worming itself into society and into people and to individuals, and it doesn't stay silent. It doesn't stay dormant. It doesn't vacillate. It more often than not acts on its bigotry, and
it's a cancer.
It is a cancer in the worst possible sense. And when you have bigoted principles, you have a higher propensity of acting on those bigoted principles, whether they be laws or assault or targeting or marginalization. There are small ways that add up, and people may not see it, but it comes in small little chips. It comes in, the tiniest little mark that you end up making. Yeah. And it can start out with one thing and then just pile on and keep on piling on until not just the one group, but everybody in society is affected. Well, and everybody within that country or that civilization is affected in negative ways.
Yeah. I mean, just marry up the idea that we've seen from the LNC recently, one, taking out their bigotry plank, but then also taking out references or speaking against the idea of words being violence. And when you marry those two things up, you're allowing bigotry, and you're allowing bigotry to be spoken in your name. And that's where I have a lot of people drawing the line. Like they couldn't continue knowing that that's probably going to be the speech that's going to be coming soon. It's been coming from the LP Delaware. When it starts hitting the national full bore, it's going to be very hard for the people that are holding on to hoping that we can retake over the party back, in 2024. Is the brand going to be dead?
I would like to go on public record with the political deep dive as the medium, as saying they keep saying that, but all I saw from any type of cathedral caucus or anti-takeover group was a bunch of people just sitting in a chat room complaining. There was no efforts. There were no means to actually combat this, because I will give some credence to the fact that, yeah, they won because not enough people did enough. But that's because literally out of the thousands of people, short of like maybe 3 or 4 I can name off the top of my head, if I had their permission, were actually willing to do anything about combating a takeover. And it's not like this is any big secret, so I can already see this on the pink flame of liberty. Like, it was a conspiracy against me. No, it was not. It was politics as usual. Get over it. There's no grand conspiracy. But the reason that we saw the anti-takeover crowd and the cathedral crowd and everybody that was like anti-Mises crowd fail was it was a bunch of people that were ready to complain but not ready to take action. And that's eventually why you'll notice that a timeline of how I eventually kind of started dropping off too, because I was trying to go around traveling. I was trying to go around and rally the troops. I mean, Ari had been out with me a couple of times there when I was doing it. It was exhausting because, yeah, I was there. I couldn't get any backup. I couldn't get any type of anything. And I wasn't even technically part of the anti-takeover crowd at that point. I was just like, if you want some sensibility and to make, I don't know, the job of secretary boring again, like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I was there. I was spending money out of pocket. I had good people that were donating to help me make some ends meet. I mean, I hung out with Dan in Florida, which was pretty friggin' awesome. Like, I mean, I 10 out of 10 do that again. Like,
Agree. I hard agree. That was a wonderful weekend.
But it was like, you know, the people that were, yes, yeah, eventually we got tired of the rest of you just complaining. And I'm not saying that the blame is necessarily in any one corner. The blame goes around at this point because there were efforts there. There were people trying. And again, I'm not even like trying to put myself on any type of pedestal either, because I did not do nearly as much as the other people that did actually do something, the 3 or 4 that I mentioned earlier. It's just at the same time, I just like, I can't help but think, you want to do all this and you say, we'll get it back, and you want us to sit there and wait. How long do we wait outside the gate before you let us in the pen before the wolf gets us?
Yeah.
Like, it's that simple. Like you keep saying, hold on, wait, just take the abuse a little longer. And I actually had that conversation directly today about outright sortie from the Libertarian Party. It was how long do we have to sit there? And like, you know, we've got other GSM, well-noted GSM prominent libertarians that were like, I felt abandoned, everything like that. Okay, we've been trying to get outright off the floor for a while now. I'm sorry you feel abandoned, but like, we also needed help as an organization to help bridge the gap and help get more supporters from the GSM community. I'm sorry you felt abandoned. We are not abandoning your ideal for a lifetime, a world set free in our lifetime. We are abandoning the ideal that this vehicle is still going to function more than another mile down the road.
So if we go to that, Tyler, because that's a question that I would like to talk about. Why did outreach fail to the GSM community? Especially, you know, we had this stage where, you know, the first married gay man to be chair of a national party is in office. How come we weren't able to increase GSM membership in the party at that point in time?
When the publicity of why he left is also sprinkled with people verbally attacking him online for being gay, the constant beration and likening to groomers from former presidential candidates, people that are sitting as at-large members on the LNC dropping the word faggot very wantonly in a pejorative manner. You know, it's not necessarily the outreach failed. It's just there was a lot of navigating that made it minimally impactful.
So
there was a lot of things that we were trying and we were having success with. I had watched and had seen Outright grow as an organization for over a decade. You know, when I first ended up joining and coming on the board, it was after I had a break from the LP, and seeing this grow, seeing how the individual affiliates, you know, for the states and for the counties and parishes within the LP were becoming more accepting was hopeful. But then a year into it, there was a shift and there was a change. And I started noticing things as well that were becoming more negative. There are organizations within my state in Louisiana that were blatantly surprised that there was still a Libertarian Party around, or who were surprised that GSM individuals could be, you know, anarchists, could be libertarian. And now what we're having to build on is this disbelief of libertarianism, this disbelief of GSM individuals from a variety of different walks of life wanting to be a part of it. And then tertiarily, we have organizations that we could have originally worked with on liberty-oriented messaging, but that have reticence and hesitance because of the ways that libertarianism is now being portrayed.
It's an interesting dilemma, because that was certainly, when I was executive director, one of the things I really wanted to do was increase membership. And, I came up with a bunch of different programs on how to do that. But, it was always the alt-right people who were the most successful at bringing in more members. And I've always wondered, if I were going to do it again, how would I do it better? And I don't know. I'm baffled. When we form that new Libertarian Party, we'll have to figure out a better way to make it work.
It's not to cast aspersion on the work that you might have done, or predecessor.
No, I mean everybody. I'm a person
okay.
who. I'm not taking it personally at all. What I wanted to know.
I was just making sure. Not
at all. Just the opposite. I welcome criticism, because I don't think criticism is a negative thing. I think criticism is the thing that makes you better. And so I want to figure out, when we do this again, or the stuff that I'm doing right now, with People for Liberty and Home for Liberty, I want to know what we do to make sure that we are, obviously we don't have a voting membership, so we're not going to get taken over. But how do we, how do we appeal more to the GSM community? How do we make ourselves more welcoming, more inclusive in the way that we didn't do, apparently? Not apparently. Hard fact numbers. We didn't do that in the LP, in spite of, what I wanted to do. And so I want to figure out how to do it better next time when I become executive director of the LNCC.
Yeah, I don't know if it would help at all, but honestly, after we made the shift we had, and I was looking through some of the numbers as, outreach, I've got some access to those numbers and everything like that. Not going to lie, it's been a little bit hectic with the big shifts and everything going on, but I think at most we lost a dozen memberships. But the next morning, my phone was buzzing all night to the point I had to turn it off. I woke up the next morning and found out what it was. Were people wanting to renew their memberships, revive their memberships, and create new ones, because we had finally taken out what seemed to be our impediment. And it's not necessarily that we stand for the libertarian movement, because we do have a lot of anarchist members who operate off of the original definition of it and everything like that, who actually, but they could not stomach the fact that we were operating in association with a political party that seemed to keep drifting more and more to the right, and in a negative way. I have nothing against people who are right-leaning or culturally conservative. I do have a problem when it becomes malicious and it has a goal of erasure.
And I think it's an important point that it's not just that the LP wasn't able to appeal to GSM. We didn't increase our people of color membership by any significant thing. We didn't increase female membership by any significant numbers. So it's just a flat out failure across the board, except for, neckbeards. Neckbeard contingency went way up. Everything else.
We can also point to the idea that the people that did come in droves kept a lot of the people that we wanted to come away. And so, I mean, there is that causality out of that.
Well, and there's an interesting, that's an interesting question too, because we say, okay, all these guys who are doing all this, crazy talk now are keeping the good people out of the party. Was there a point in time at which a previous chair, who shall remain nameless, was picking fights and saying things to keep the alt-right people out of the party? Yeah, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
My opinion.
I know his opinion, and I'm Skip. Skip.
Okay, maybe we should go to the news quiz now, Dave.
News quiz.
Yeah, let's go to the news quiz.
What was that about CNN?
We've already seen some of his acolytes trying to co-opt the name outright as well. So I mean, it's all about pettiness and argumentativeness that seems on that camp.
Well, it's reactionary,
Well,
and
outright libertarians is a dead name. That's what it's a dead name now.
thank you. Oh my gosh, yes. So we do, and we're going to be open to this. Like Tyler said, are for all members in good standing. For all current members in good standing. We have our convention on the 30th. It's going to be at 7 o'clock Eastern time, or 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock
Arizona time.
Arizona time.
Pacific.
Yeah,
You'll get used to that.
I know. I have the unenviable position of bouncing between here and New Orleans.
We are perpetually standing still in time.
I know you are.
The right way to
That's
do it.
the same. We are open. We want to be able to have the discussion with our dues paying members. We want to be able to have this talk so that people have the ability to know why this decision is being made and why this shift and change is being focused on. We're not abandoning the Libertarian Party. We're not abandoning libertarian. We're just changing. And change is something that we should readily accept.
Well,
We are literally and figuratively growing because of this change.
Yes.
Well, it's like Dan's organization is the umbrella organization for greater liberty movement
Mhm.
that serves a specific population. Although I'm a member as well, so I'll be happy to join you guys on the 30th to
Awesome.
have fun. So, but yeah, I mean, I think I don't. I see the takeover as a bad thing, but I think in the end it'll be a very positive thing that it's going to drive people to get into liberty-based vehicles to actually affect change, to get into conversations with people who can actually do things and get people elected who can actually do things. I think it's going to end up being a net positive. And in the end, I don't know that we're going to need to take over the Libertarian Party again.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna. I hope this is going to be the fact, and I've been watching several different state and local affiliates, and I've been talking to chairs and vice chairs, as well as in my own parish, my parish executive committee, and just watching as. Yeah, I'll say this anger over the takeover is actually blossoming into things that people are pressing for more localism, and people are pressing for more local and state-oriented work instead of having to be and kowtow to a larger organization.
Yeah.
And the LP is only as good as the sum of its parts.
Yep.
And these parts are thankfully realizing that they can and will be able to function independently and to be able to set their own standards and to set what they want to be able to do to promote liberty and freedom within our lifetime.
Well said.
The balkanization of the Libertarian Party would have happened.
Yeah. So let's hit the news quiz.
Okay.
Question number 1. Which wildly popular show was recently greenlit for a new season? Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Squid Game, or Friends?
Squid Game.
Squid Game.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Just because it couldn't be the other ones, I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't know if you can make Friends now, but yeah, Squid Game.
we were on a break.
A long break.
I've heard that robot, that girl robot that shot people. I heard she's getting a boyfriend in this season.
I've never
Spoiler
watched,
alert.
yeah, I've never watched Squid Game, so Thanks,
All
man,
right.
for ruining it.
It's right around the corner. That's all you need to know. You don't need to watch it. We're going to experience it.
Yeah, I hear that they're actually doing there's supposed to be a contest, a live action contest that they're going to do, and instead of dying or getting killed, you lose out on a multi-million-dollar purse. So I mean, it's starting to sound like Total Recall or Roman Coliseum. Yeah. So question number 2: to help reduce cable clutter and waste, which continent will soon require Apple and other smartphone makers to support a single common charging standard for all mobile devices?
I mean, there's only one continental government,
Yeah.
so I feel
Europe,
pretty
North
confident
America,
it's Europe.
Asia, Africa.
That sounds like a
It's-
European thing.
It is Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's been
I
in
just wanted to say,
for a while.
Well,
So
no,
when
so each country, and this is the interesting thing about Europe, is that it has at the end of the prongs completely different things for each country, and so the standardization is kind of interesting, and it's going to make things a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, it's going to make
Yeah,
things easier, except for they're not standardizing across Europe how the plugs.
but also, I mean, it's just generally a terrible idea. I mean, I appreciate that that's what people want, but let the consumers vote with their wallets. I mean, it's not like cell phones are, one of those things that are such an issue. I will say, so back when I worked for Palm, and we were the only mobile device in town, we came to a point where we said, you know what? We are going to standardize on USB or micro USB, and that is it. And we are never going to change from that again. And 2 years later, we changed. So the thing about it is that, if you're going to say, okay, this is a standard charger thing, the fact of the matter is, right, what I got right here, USB-C, right? USB-C lightning charging, that's awesome. I can charge my phone super fast. You're going to tell me that somebody else comes out with a new thing that will charge my phone, 100 times faster, charge my phone entirely in 10 minutes, and I'm not going to be able to release it because it doesn't correspond to the government standard of how fast I can charge my phone? Dumb, 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 dumb.
Yeah, it's government overreach, and it's going to stifle competition and stifle innovation, and in the end, consumers.
It's going to mean Europeans are going to have worse phones. And what are you going to do? Are you going to prevent people from buying phones in other countries, other continents?
Yeah.
I meant that goes back to that whole thing of being able to fix and repair and modify. Like, you don't have that ability to. So, third question.
All right, let's do number 3. Bipartisan group of senators announced an agreement on gun safety legislation this week, but 2 major reforms were not included in the proposed deal. Which measure did lawmakers leave out? Enhanced review process for gun buyers under 21, ban on military assault weapons, investment in mental health, or funding to improve school security.
Under 21.
Under 21.
Yeah, under 21.
No.
What?
I
remember reading
the assault ban.
Oh.
But it didn't include the, I guess it includes enhanced review process, but there was also a thing where they were going to ban assault rifles for people under 21. So that was my confusion.
Yeah.
But you're right.
I think we might have read the same article.
Assault rifles.
Right.
Ooh, with Kung Fu action grip.
Yes.
Don't forget, they can literally decapitate you.
Yes, it can.
Yeah. Boise.
Yes, police arrested 31 men this week, believed to be affiliated with a white nationalist group, Patriot Front. And have you guys looked at the mugshots of these folks?
Oh yes, that is the dominant race right there. Let me tell you, we're fucked.
Yes,
Well,
they have the best genetics ever.
Well, but what's interesting about it is that, part of the thing is that they're going to Pride. However, they also had a dance routine worked out together that they were all going to do.
Damn.
Mr. Roboto.
All of them were completely, totally, and utterly straight.
That's why they're wearing the matching outfits.
That's why they got crammed into a van.
Exactly.
They were all packed like.
What's the answers on that one?
But wait, I just
Idaho, but with California, New York, and Texas were the other ones.
right.
I
It's
think they were
Idaho.
California, New York, and Texas, but Idaho is where they.
And I just want to point out that they were in a U-Haul van too.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, right? I mean,
It's the queerest of vans. It really is.
I mean,
isn't it like, what do they call like two lesbians getting into a relationship? A U-Haul?
A U-Haul magically
No.
appears.
no, it's where do the lesbians go on their second date? The
U-Haul. I wouldn't know. I'm not a lesbian.
Good Lord. All right. Broadway's biggest stars were recognized this week at which prestigious award show?
Tony's.
Curtain up, light the lights.
Grammys.
We got
You
nothing to
Grammy
hit
Awards,
but the
Emmy
heights.
Awards, or the Tonys, and it is.
Start
You said
again.
you said which one? Oh yeah, the Grammys.
Yeah. So the Grammy, the answers were
It's a Tony.
Grammy, Academy, Enemies, and the Tony.
I'm like the worst gay ever.
You are the worst gay ever. No, because there was one artist there that just got an ERGOT.
EGOT.
EGOT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emmy,
Oh yeah,
Grammy,
it was
Oscar.
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. So,
Yes.
Can't remember
Who was it?
Was it a singer?
Is it Lin-Manuel Miranda?
No, he's
No,
he's,
the female singer. It was
Macy Gray.
No,
no.
Jennifer Hudson.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Right.
Right. Okay.
I actually have the worst gay story ever. My friend Tony was at a party in Midtown Atlanta in a high rise. It was an eclectic mix of people there, and he was talking to this guy, Fred, and Fred was talking about being in the music industry and how he was, going on tour in a month, and Tony goes, "So, Fred, what do you do?" He's like, "I'm a singer." "Oh, who do you sing for?" "The B-52s." It was Fred Schneider.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's I love moments like that. Have you seen the video of Jay-Z going to a concert in Brooklyn and he's taking the subway? He sits down next to this old lady and like she's just talking to him like he's a guy. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a singer, blah, 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 blah." And she's like, "Well, you're very polite." Which, to be fair, would she have said that to him? I don't know. But anyway, let's go on.
All right, question number 6. Gas prices in the United States recently hit a new record high on average nationwide. How much did it cost for a gallon of gas, or regular gas? $3, $4, $5, or $6?
$5.
$5 foot
no,
long.
5.
Yeah, $5 foot long. It did drop below $5, I believe, today. So
It's
I know
$4.89 for regular.
My knowledge of numbers.
I thought he
Yeah.
said before. I was like, okay, it was around 3 everywhere I went.
California. Oh my gosh.
I don't
Yeah.
pretend California is part of this country, and you can't make me recognize it.
All right,
Fair.
question numero 7. What is the biggest security threat in the Asia Pacific region, according to Fiji's Minister of Defense?
Climate
Cyber
change.
attacks, terrorism, disease outbreaks, or climate change?
Or Godzilla.
Climate change.
Godzilla.
I
Godzilla.
changed my answer. I agree with Dan. Godzilla.
Yeah. Well, I think climate change will bring about Godzilla. So
Let me just say, history points out again and again how nature points out the folly of men.
Well,
That's
it's
from the Blue Oyster Cult song Godzilla.
Anasazi were wiped out because of climate and the mass deforestations that they ended up doing.
Mhm.
Like whether or not you believe in anthropogenic stuff, like climate changes, and we need to be more malleable about it.
The thing that I'm anticipating, and it may not happen in our lifetimes, but it's coming soon, is a pole shift. And
There's
pole shifts,
multiple pole shifts that happen within lifetimes.
well, I mean, yeah, it's not a often occurring event, but we're a little bit overdue for it. So, pole shifts generally bring about ice ages, and maybe that's how the planet cools itself. I have no idea. I'm not scientific enough to really understand how that shit works, but
That's gonna be left to people like me who are getting into all that geeky
yeah,
stuff.
there you go. Yeah, figure it out for me. Question number 8. Which U.S. national park was impacted by severe flooding this week that washed out roads and bridges? Yosemite, Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, or Zion? This was Yellowstone.
Yellowstone, I
Yes,
think. Yeah.
I agree. It's Yellowstone and Montana.
Yeah, because a lot of the melting happened.
So Yellowstone National Park had massive flooding, took out roads. It was interesting seeing some of the before and after pictures of the size of the river and how the river actually changed paths because of the flooding. So it's
If
crazy to see.
there's a series of photos from the last I think it was 100 years of Yellowstone where they've shown like the change in the riverbeds and the change in the directions and paths of the rivers.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, it's crazy. I mean, it's a natural thing that happens with, especially.
Yeah, I was gonna say rivers change course all the time.
Yeah, if you think,
but not
that.
You have to see the pictures. You really have to see the pictures at how much they change.
Yeah. All right. Question number 9. According to the White House, how soon could COVID-19 vaccines be available for children as young as 6 months? Next week, next month, next 6 months, or next year?
That was next 6 months.
I think it's next
I'm
week.
gonna guess next month.
I don't know. I kind of forgot COVID-19 was a thing.
I'm guessing
I
next
know
month.
that the White House just did it, and this quiz is a couple days old. But they just made an announcement. I don't know if it was next week or we'll go with next month.
Let me see. I'm right.
I was right. I should have gone with my gut.
Yep.
Was I right?
I am 4 times vaccinated. I don't know that I would do 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's when it hits you, because I've had it 3 times, and that third time, well, the first and third times just fucked me up. I mean, I was in a bad way.
Wait, so you've had it 3 times and you've been vaccinated?
No. I've had the vaccination 3 times.
Gotcha.
I've
had 4, never any side effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hit me on like a freight train.
Yeah, I was down for like 3 days. I mean, I won't say I might as well have had it, but it
Oh, bless your heart, darling.
So,
I was out for a week on each one of them.
Oh, yeah. So next week,
that's what I get for being immunocompromised.
Right.
Yeah.
Better the vaccine than
me dying.
Yes.
All
Ford.
right. Yeah, this is Ford because I mean, whenever you talk about mass recall, it's probably Ford. So.
I mean,
Okay.
Ford's
Yeah, so number 10. What does it say? What does it say?
Which automaker recalled 2.9 million vehicles this week? Honda, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, or Ford?
Let me point out only one American automaker.
Yeah, that's Ford. Ford.
What was that, Dan?
Only one American automaker listed there.
Yeah.
It's a CNN anti-American slant.
American made. Built
America. America.
Well, right. It was also it was electric cars, right?
I'm not so models for shifting.
I don't remember.
I don't.
It's a Ford. I mean, it's found on Road Dead, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Shift. Let's see. Ford F cars and SUVs.
Okay.
Who
So
knows?
it's not their electric one. No, in terms of propensities and in terms of recalls, when you put it on the total population of cars, like it's not, the recalls for electric cars are not nearly as high as internal combustion engines.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, but
Yeah. No,
No,
I
no,
mean,
I meant as a percentage of the cars themselves, like comparatively, between the two different populations, it's high. Yep, happy Pride Month.
yeah, no, I mean, for sure, they shouldn't be close to each other. Electric cars are, so much fewer moving parts, and
So-
Yeah,
they
exactly.
don't have an explosion going off in the middle of them all the time.
we are close
Mhm.
to the end of the show today. So I did want to do one story because Friday was the 50th anniversary of the Watergate break-in at the Watergate office complex. Now, if you've never been to DC and seen the actual Watergate, there's 3 buildings in Watergate complex. One is a hotel, Swiss hotel at this point. There is an apartment complex where a lot of DC movers and shakers live. In fact, last time I was at the Watergate Hotel, Condoleezza Rice was living in the apartment building, and there is an office complex. And the office complex, like when I was there, like the Rwandan embassy was the office complex. So it's just kind of and of course the Libertarian National headquarters
Yes.
there for many years. So the question I have for you is, if Watergate happened today, how would it be covered in the media?
Nobody would believe the other side.
Yeah.
So, right, Democrats wouldn't believe, or Republicans wouldn't believe that the president had been doing that, or that he was involved in it, or anything like that. There was, first of all, you couldn't get journalists to do what Woodward and Bernstein did, right?
That's where I'm at. You couldn't get a journalist to do how that story was covered. Like it would be total divide and conquer.
I mean,
Right.
how much?
It would destroy their career. Like nowadays, like I would say, if anything was to actually break, it wouldn't be from a mainstream source. It would probably come from, one of the independent spaces.
Look at all the
And-
Fox people who were fired. Look at all the Fox people who were fired for calling
no.
Arizona for Biden.
Yeah. Well, just think. Let's go down the road of Watergate. Would the source have been taken seriously, saying, "My name is Deep Throat. Meet me in a garage in Virginia"?
Well,
And I'll
but
tell you, I mean, like,
I don't know. I
to
mean,
be-
there
to be
have
fair-
been weirder things in the last
I
10
do
years.
that all the time, and I never get any type of national accolade.
all right.
Tyler.
There's a deep throat joke there that I'm just staying away from. However, remember that Woodward and Bernstein knew who he was, right? I mean, he was an
eventually,
FBI
yes,
agent.
after the first meeting, yes.
Yeah. So, in the beginning, Deep Throat, just because of Linda Lovelace and the movie at the time and all that stuff. Kids don't remember. I was old enough. I watched Nixon resign on television.
Well, this was before MPAA.
Yep, that's true. Well,
I just want to get one more uncouth joke out of the way, because we've all seen the story that broke about Nancy Reagan, right? What if she was Deep Throat?
I didn't see the story about Nancy Reagan.
Nancy Reagan
apparently-
is known as
She's
known as the head
she's a
queen.
throat goat.
What?
Nancy
She's
Reagan
a
was known.
throat goat.
Yeah, she is the head queen of Hollywood at that when she was.
Yeah, apparently she was very well known for her skills.
Particularly fond of oral things.
I'm just saying, how hilarious would that be?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
What?
All right. I have got to go, but before I go, everybody, and I put the link in our other chat, Dave.
And I put it
Just
in.
share it out there. Yeah,
Right.
I know you can't play it on the air, but everybody should listen to Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla since we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
If you've never heard it, that song will change your life.
Oh, wait, stop. Hold on a sec. Put the link here. It's going into the chat.
Exactly. Then everybody can click it. And after the play out music, you guys can play that yourselves.
Yes.
I'm hoping that the comments thus far have actually not been horrible, because I haven't been paying attention to them at all.
Comments are wonderful tonight.
Good.
In fact, Craig, thanks for watching us. Thanks to Death Metal 114 for commenting on YouTube. Janice McKenzie commenting on Facebook. It's Goose Baby commenting on Twitch. Thanks for watching on all our channels. I know that with my ban from Facebook for my main account, it's been a little bit harder to get folks on, but watching. But I do appreciate everyone watching us this week. Thanks, Ari and Tyler, for coming on and talking about the Outright. How do people get in touch with Outright?
So they can reach out to me directly. They can go to outrightusa.com. Hit us up on Facebook, our Twitter. We do have people manning both of those platforms day in and day out, because I'm pretty sure 90% of our outreach department is in this house. So so I mean, you can reach but honestly, you can go to any one of those, outrightusa.com. Our pages are Outright USA on Twitter and on Facebook. Honestly, I know I come across as a bitch on Facebook, but I'm also really easy to get a hold of. You should talk to me in private, because I'm much nicer.
I can vouch for that.
He is the Master General, ladies and gentlemen. He's earned that title, but he's sassy and awesome. So, and Ari, you're awesome as well.
Yeah, drop us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We are going to be expanding. We do have, of course, our website, but if you ever want to be able to talk, if there's anything that people end up needing, if they need help, we are here for you. No matter where you are politically, no matter where you are in terms of safety, Outright USA is here for you. No matter if you are Libertarian, Democrat, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, we want to be able to help you. No matter what your sexuality is, or your gender is, or any of these different characteristics that you end up having, we are here for you. We love you. You are valid, and we want to be able to make sure that not just this month, but every month, that you feel safe and validated and welcome and loved.
Every day is Pride.
Every day is Pride.
That's the way to do it. Thank you both for coming on. I really appreciate it. Really loved getting into this conversation. Again, happy Juneteenth, happy Father's Day, happy Pride. Celebrate what you want to celebrate. If you don't like someone else's celebrations, don't do their celebration. That's all there is to it. But love one another, be good to one another, and we'll talk to all next week. Take care, everybody.
And go Godzilla.
Go Godzilla.
And go Godzilla.
Go Gajira.